Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chrissy and this is my Cozy Corner. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 2025's most anticipated book releases. At least to me, they're most anticipated, but they're ones that I definitely think you should have on your radar. And as you're watching this video, go ahead and add them to your Goodreads TBR. Before I do that, there is one more release in 2024 that I'm really excited about that I wanted to talk to you about because it is a debut author. So this video is set to come out Sunday, November 24th, and the book that I want to talk about real quick before we get to 2025 releases is going to be coming out tomorrow, Monday, November 25th, on Kindle Unlimited, so you can download it and read it on Kindle Unlimited. And the paperback I pre-ordered should be coming to me in January. The author so kindly allowed me to read her book before it came out on Kindle Unlimited. She did send it to me. Her name is Tisha Carvalho, and her book is called Into the Paracosm. This is a novella, and I'm not saying that it's so good just because she sent it to me. I am being honest in my reviews. I'm always honest on here, and it was absolutely amazing. For a novella, it was packed to the punches, as novellas should be. Think like Stephen King's The Mist meets The Hunger Games, and there is a tiny side plot of romance, which is very satisfying, and I can't wait to see how that develops in her second book. But this is her debut novel, and I'm absolutely like floored. And if you like The Gray Shear by Kim Legat, I think also you would like Into the Paracosm because it kind of reminds me of it, not so much in the sense of the plot. It does have a dystopian feel to the plot, but it's kind of the writing. She's very good with descriptions. So sometimes I'm reading a book and I'm like, I have no idea what that library looks like. I have no idea what that smell is. That is not described well enough. She describes things in a way that makes it so picturesque. Like I pictured everything so perfectly. It was like literally like honey. Like it just was so, I don't know how else to describe it. It was just like if you have an itch in your brain for descriptions, it's gonna scratch that itch. Now, when comparing it to The Gray Shear, I did say it was the writing, the descriptive writing that kind of made me think of The Gray Shear when I was reading Into the Paracosm, but it's also the genre. They're both very much dystopian with pretty heavy horror elements and good plot twists. To me, what was so impressive is the world that she built was interesting and I understood it. I want to know more about it, and I know that's going to be coming in her future books, but how she did that in a novella blows my mind. So if you want a quick read that is fast-paced and you like some of the books that I like up here, Gray Shear, The Hunger Games, or any of the books that I mentioned, you most definitely will love Into the Paracosm. And even though I said it reminded me of The Mist and The Hunger Games, it's also very unique all on its own. And I'm still thinking about this book. I think I read it a couple weeks ago. I'm still thinking about it to this day. Please go to your Kindle tomorrow, download it and read it. You'll get through it in a day and it's gonna be the best time. Okay, so I have the books that I saw on Goodreads right up here on my phone. So I'm going to tell you the genre and the date, and I'm gonna go in order. So obviously starting with January. So it looks like the first most anticipated release is going to be a fantasy, and that is A Sea of Unspoken Things. Comes out January 7th. Now this is the same author, Adrienne Young, of Spells for Forgetting and The Unmaking of June Farrow, which are two books that were on my fall TBR that I didn't get to read, but here's such high praise for them. So I'm gonna read the new one. I'm gonna read the other two first. So I'm still excited for it because of how much praise I hear about it. And then the next one is going to be January 14th, and it's a thriller by our very famous Alice Feeney, and it's called Beautiful Ugly. So it looks like the thriller. It sounds pretty trippy. The husband and the wife are in a car and she suddenly stops, and I don't like to give too much information about a thriller, and I don't like to read too much into the synopsis about a thriller, but stops the car and then gets out, and then he doesn't see his wife anymore. It's like she disappears and he's really depressed about it. So he goes to Scotland to try to just get his thoughts and his life back together. And who does he see? A woman that looks like his wife. So it sounds pretty trippy. I'm wondering how this plot twist is gonna work. If you've watched any of my other videos, I do talk about how thrillers do tend to let me down, and if I like a thriller, then I'm like, great. Like, I will like the whole book, and then the plot twist is just like all of that for this, and hopefully that's not the case. But I did read one other book by Alice Feeney, and I did quite enjoy it, and that book was called I Know Who You Are, I believe. Yes, I Know Who You Are. And I have a bunch of other Alice Feeney books over there. I know like Rock, Paper, Scissors is supposed to be like one of her more popular ones. Oh, I read 2 books by Alice Feeney, His and Hers. That one was really good. I Know Who You Are, I think I gave that one 3 stars because I liked it, but it was like kind of weird and a little predictable, but it still was like dark and fun. So I recommend any of the, I've only read the 2, but I do recommend them, I guess. So I am excited to read that one. Now we are towards the end of the month. The last book that I want to talk about that is coming out in January is a romance. I'm super excited about this one because I really like this author. Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. Comes out January 28th. I read one other book by her and I already love her. It was Out on a Limb. Great disability representation, great communication. So I know this is going to be a good one. And she, I feel like, is good with like focusing on the communication aspect of it. But it looks like there's high school sweethearts and they hit a rough patch in their relationship. The main female character is like, I don't need you for everything, and wants to prove that she can do some things on her own. So again, they hit a rough patch and end up going on like a couples retreat, it sounds like here. Like a hiking trip. It's supposed to be like a grueling hiking trip that's supposed to kind of repair their relationship or help them through their rough patch. So that sounds really fun. It kind of sounds summery, but it's coming out in January, so I might save that one for this summer. So we are starting off February with a romance, and actually 2 romances come out the same day that I know people are going to have their eye on, which I'm going to have my eye on. So the first one is going to be Scythe and Sparrow, which is going to be released February 11th, and is a part of the whole Ruinous Love trilogy, which includes Butcher and Blackbird, which I did read. Wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was a nice palate cleanser. It was a lot of fun. And then Leather and Lark, which I have not read. So I know they're all about like the whole murder, like love interest, all that stuff. It looks like this one, the female MC is a traveling circus performer, something dealing with the circus. And then the male MC is a doctor. And then the female MC has like a murderous tendencies. So we're still sticking with that same theme of the like dark comedy with the murder aspect. So the next romance book that's coming out the exact same day of February 11th is called A First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I read another book by her, Love Life Arms. I love that one so much. I actually talk about it in my like top favorite Christmas reads video where I'm just talking about all things Christmas books. So it looks like this one is inspired by Sleepless in Seattle, and the female MC calls into a romance hotline, and she is trying to get advice about like her grandma or for her grandma's love life or something along those lines. And the male MC who is talking to her on the other line has like lost all like hope for love. So coincidentally, the interview goes viral and we just kind of go from there. The last 2 books being released in February are both fantasies, so yay there. They're actually also sequels. They are the second book in a trilogy. I'm not going to say too much about it because if you haven't read the first book, I don't want to like spoil anything. And funny enough, I haven't read the first book to this one, so it's going to be Cursebound. And that is the second book to Faybound, which I have not read, but it is on my shelf, and that comes out February 18th. And then that is I believe a fantasy or a romantasy. And then the second book is being released February 25th, and that is the Crimson Moth 2, and it's called Rebel Witch, which makes so much sense if you read the first book, Heartless Hunter. And I did, and I really liked it. It's more of a young adult romantasy, probably in comparison to Faybound, but again, I have not read Faybound. So that's out February 25th. Now we're going into the next month, so March. The first book coming out in March is going to be The Rag Picker, and that comes out March 4th. That's the second book to Cassandra Clare's new adult fantasy book, Swordcatcher, which I haven't read, but I'm really excited for. I know I'm gonna like it. A YouTuber had, Reagan is her name, Reagan. Love her. She's got so many good fantasy book recommendations. She talks about liking Swordcatcher, and I have a lot of the same interest and taste as her, so I think I'm gonna like it. And I am excited for the sequel, so maybe I'll wait till March to read the first book so I can just go right into the second one. So in March, we have a really exciting one. I mean, all of them are exciting, but you know, some are just a little bit more exciting than others. So Sunrise of the Reaping comes out on March 18th, and that is a prequel of Haymitch and the Hunger Games. He's one of my favorite characters, so might have to reread the series before March 18th, but I'm really excited about that one. And of course, it's dystopian YA. I think there's a lot of dark themes in Hunger Games that I feel like wouldn't be considered YA, but you know what? I don't make the rules for genre picking. The last book coming out in March is a thriller. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know how I feel about thrillers. They're such misses most of the time for me, but this author I'm super excited for. It's This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I vibed with both of the books that I read by her. It wasn't like they were like jaw-dropping plot twists or anything. It just, the story grips me. Her writing grips me. I really liked it, so I'm super excited about this one. It comes out March 25th, and it says 5 amateur true crime lovers get together and try to catch a killer. That sounds like fun. Sounds like something me and my friends would do, actually. Okay, so welcome to April. It's my birthday month. I was born April 2nd, and all 3 of these books in April are all by authors that I love, so happy freaking birthday to me. But the first one is Abby Jimenez. I love her. The book is called Say You'll Remember Me. The cover is adorable. Oh my goodness. I mean, obviously I'm gonna put the like inserts right here so you guys can see it for yourself, but that cover is so cute. So it looks like the 2 main characters, the female and the male main character, get off on the wrong foot, and then they spend time together and they have like the best day ever, but then she's got some family stuff going on and she's like, I can't do this right now. Maybe she can't be in a relationship. I guess we'll find out when we read. And it says she's having like a family crisis, and that's the reason. And she's just like, forget about me, but we know how romance goes. He's obviously not going to forget about her. So Abby Jimenez hits so hard. I didn't love Part of Your World, but Yours Truly is possibly one of my favorite romance books, at least in the top 5 of all time. I love that book so much. I relate so hard to the male main character in that book. All right, so obviously that's a romance, and then the next book is a fantasy. I don't know too much about this book, but it sounds super interesting. So it is Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. If you know anything about Olivia Blake, she wrote The Atlas 6, which is very like controversial as far as reviews go, which I really like the series. I still have to read the 3rd one though. And then Alone with You in the Ether. I love that book so much. So for me, she's a solid author. But this one sounds super interesting. Comes out April 1st. It's about a rich CEO who dies and he has a fortune. And there's 3 kids that he's, I guess, trying to pass it on to. And they all have like magically gifted abilities. So I'm wondering if they like fight over it or what exactly goes down with that. But I'm super interested in that. And at the end of April, we have one of my favorite authors of all time. It is romance. I know fantasy is my favorite genre, but this romance author, every single book by her, I have loved every single book by her, and that is the Queen, Emily Henry. It's A Great Big Beautiful Life, and that comes out April 22nd. This premise sounds super interesting. It looks like there are 2 writers who are competing for the chance to write a biography for a very famous woman named Margaret, and she invites both of them over to, I guess it might be like her some kind of vacation home or where she lives. It doesn't exactly say, but it's called Little Crescent Island for a trial period, and she tells them each like different pieces of her story. So not to make like predictions, but I wonder if they both end up co-writing it together, because it's like this person has different pieces of story and then this person, but she's like not giving all the information out. That's what it kind of sounds like. Super excited about that. I know it's going to be a banger. Every single book by her is, so this is going to be no different, I'm sure. Now we are in May, almost halfway through the year. Not quite, but almost. So in May, we are starting off with a fantasy, romantasy. I think it's a romantasy, but Danielle Jensen, I love her. At least I love The Bridge Kingdom. Now, this is going to be the sequel to A Fate Inked in Blood. It's called A Curse Carved in Bone, and that comes out May 13th. I have not read A Fate Inked in Blood. I don't know what I'm waiting for. It's the whole Norse-inspired fantasy romantasy series. A lot of people that I follow that are really like into the same books as me, into a lot of the same fantasy and romantasy books as me, have loved this book. So I'm super excited about that. Okay, so the next one I'm really excited about, it is a romantasy. I think I've said I'm really excited like 50 times in this video, but I mean, they're books. I get really excited about them. But a lot of you will probably agree that you're going to be excited about this one. It's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Comes out May 20th. And if you recognize that name, she wrote the Shepherd King's duology, which is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. Very famous duology. It is so well loved for a reason. Now, this one, it says a prophetess goes on a quest to try to defeat gods, and she seeks a knight's help, which is probably the romance. And he doesn't want to aid her at first, apparently, but somehow she gets him to come along. And it says it's supposed to be really gothic and misty. I mean, it sounds like One Dark Window is really gothic and misty. The premise sounds totally different, but clearly this author likes a good gothic and misty vibe. I love a good gothic and misty vibe. Actually, as a matter of fact, the last book I read that was gothic and misty was Into the Paracosm. So the one that I talked about comes out November 25th, that one on Kindle Unlimited. That one's very gothic and misty, and that's probably why I liked it so much. Well, for many reasons, but that was one of the reasons why I liked it so much. All right, so we are closing out May with a romance, and a lot of people love this author, and that is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, which comes out May 25th. And I love Carly Fortune. I think the only book I didn't like by her was Meet Me at the Lake, but her other two books were really good, and that was Every Summer After and This Summer Will Be Different. Her descriptions of summer hit so hard. Like, I can smell sweat, I can smell the sticky bar, I could just see and smell and taste the sea. And like, especially her last book, This Summer Will Be Different, like the area that she was explaining, I wanted to go there. It was just the picturesque descriptive writing is my thing. I love it, and I know she's gonna do good with that in this one. So it says Alice spent one summer at a cottage with her grandma when she was 17, and she knew a boy named Charlie. Now Alice, it says she is a photographer, and I guess she snapped a photo of 3 people. It doesn't really go into detail anything about that, but she comes back to the cottage after her grandma falls and breaks her hip. So her and her grandma decide to go back and spend summer at that cottage, and who does she see? The boy Charlie that she saw when she was 17. And I love a good past to present timeline, and Carly Fortune loves a good past. I think all her books are past to present, so I hope that they have like a good past part and it's not just I saw the boy, because I feel like Meet Me at the Lake, I didn't love the past. I feel like y'all only spent one night together, but it says that she was there all summer, so that'd be really cute if it was like a summer love. That one summer love that you just like couldn't get out of your head. Like, that's cute. But the one that was just like the one day was like really like unrealistic. But anyways, I'm super excited about that one. I think she's a great author. I love her stories, love her summer romances. Now we are finally officially halfway through the most anticipated book releases of 2025. So June is starting off with a really good one. I love this author, and it's called Atmosphere, and that's by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It is a literary fiction. Her literary fiction books are so just chef's kiss there. That comes out June 3rd, and it looks like she's writing about another iconic period. If you remember Daisy Jones and the Six, she wrote about the 70s, and this one is going to be the 80s, so that's fun. And it looks like the main female character is a physics professor, and she sees an opportunity to be a part of the NASA space shuttle program and signs up for it. The Goodreads synopsis says that she finds unlikely friends and a passion in a new love. So that sounds fun, but then something happens and the mission is not as smooth as she hoped. So, I mean, I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's a fantastic writer. The next June release is a fantasy, and it's by one of my favorite authors. I love her every single time, and it's called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Goodreads has it categorized under fantasy and vampire. That's super exciting. I love a vampire situation. And all it says 3 women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangled like roots. Alrighty. Okay. So the last book being set to release in June is going to be a Romantasy, and that is the Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It's the 5th book in the From Blood and Ash universe, or the From Blood and Ash series. Now, she did just recently finish the prequel this past June, and I was hoping that we would finish out this other series, the original series, pretty soon, but I'm hearing there's going to be 7 books. I'm like, all right, I'm already invested. I even reread all of them this year to catch myself up with the prequel. But I'm like, I don't want it to keep being dragged out. So I was hoping this would be the last one. But maybe there's just like a lot more story to tell. I don't know. But I'm going to read it. I'm this far into it. Comes out June 10th. Okay, now we are in July and we're starting off with a Romantasy. I've never read anything by this author. Don't know too much about them. But the title is Tenderly I Am Devoured, which comes out July 1st. It says it's a gothic Romantasy where the MC ends up seeking a marriage of convenience with a god to try to protect her family. So that is kind of the quick summary of it. All right, so the last book that I have for you that is set to release in July, it is a dystopian. I have not read anything by this author before. It's called Climate of Chaos, and that comes out July 15th. I just read that it was a dystopian YA that is The Last of Us meets Divergent, and I was like, yes, add to cart. Well, or add to Goodreads TBR. So super excited about that. I didn't see any books in August that I was excited for. If I missed one, let me know down in the comments if there is a book in August that's coming out that should be anticipated. But now we are in September and there is no official release date. There's no synopsis or book cover yet, but I love this author. It's Ellen Hildebrand, and her book is going to be called The Academy. It just says it's set to release September 2025. That's all it says. And then that brings us to towards the end of the year. So we have our October release date is a Romantasy, and that is The Ballad of Fallen Dragons, which is the 2nd book to When the Moon Hatched. I have not read When the Moon Hatched. It's actually right here. I haven't read it yet, but I know I'm gonna love it. Like sometimes you just like hear about something or you look at it and you're just like, I know I'm gonna love that. So I know I'm gonna love it, so I'm definitely gonna have it read before the 2nd book comes out in October of next year. And then the last book I have for you is Quicksilver 2. There is no official synopsis or book cover. All it says is it's coming out fall 2025, so that's gonna be exciting. Still have to read the 1st book, but that's again another one where I'm like, I just know I'm gonna love this because so many creators who I love and we have the same taste, love it. So I will be reading that probably sometime this year, beginning of next year. And I didn't see any November or December. I don't feel like too many books usually come out in November or December for whatever reason. But yeah, there are the 2025 most anticipated book releases for me that I think you should definitely add to Goodreads. If you have any 2025 book releases that I did not mention in this video that you would like to recommend me, please do so. I would love to hear some more book releases. I love a never-ending TBR. I just like love to find new books. So add them down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and let's see how many of these I actually read next year, because I am terrible at sticking to my TBR, but actually I'm doing really good this month, so that's good. All right, you guys, I will see you next time. You know I post videos every Sunday. Bye.